So does Ms. Aisha Curry deserve a whole phase, or do some women just want to see the lives of hypergamous women crash and burn? Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to my hypergamous platform, and welcome back to my soft power channel. And if you are a new subscriber to our feminine community, then hello and hi and welcome. So of course I wanted to speak on the trending topic of Aisha Curry's continued mouth diarrhea, and I wanted to share my big brain thoughts about why this woman keeps going viral about her personal dissatisfaction and her unfulfillment when it comes to the different aspects of her personal life. Well, for those of you who have been living under a rock, take a listen to the clip that has triggered a variety of think pieces and manufactured meltdowns, and I will be back with the rest of my commentary.
4 kids. Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life. So it's like, it's one of those things like you don't know what you actually don't know what you want.
It's so hard also to be the woman in a situation where you're like, men just don't get as much scrutiny. Like they can maybe tell him like your fucking shots suck tonight, but like the looks and all of that is just like not a factor of conversation as much.
No.
Did you talk to Steph about it? Like, or did you kind of keep it within yourself so it didn't?
I do not have a bone in my body that can keep anything to myself. So if it comes to mind, it's coming out. And he's so gracious. Like he tries to resonate with me, but he just can't. And he also comes from a place of like, it's effing stupid. Like, it's not true. So why? And I'm like, but wait, like, listen to how it makes me feel. And he's like, but why does it make you feel like that? It's not real. After we got married, we found out we were pregnant with our daughter so quickly. I didn't even have time to think about what I wanted anymore. It's so interesting. I spent my entire life like trying to work towards something, and then it kind of just disappeared, and I didn't think twice about it. But after my daughter turned 1, I remember there being a shift and being like, I have goals for myself. Like, this doesn't feel right. I love being a mom, but I love doing other things too. And I need to get my shit together and figure out what that looks like for myself now.
If I have a career and I'm not home, like did you experience that?
I still experience that. I still experience that. I'm always in therapy talking about this. If you lose all of those things that were interesting about you, even for yourself, like even the things that made me feel confident and cool, then what are you doing?
Now, a lot of my followers have been sending this clip to me as if this is some kind of gotcha moment. But trust me when I say this, as a hypergamous wife, Aisha Curry and her first world problems. And the elephant in the room that no one is talking about is that this woman is just bored. And if anything, she is just trying to awkwardly connect with everyday, regular women. And she is just trying to market herself as relatable to get women to trust her more by sharing a few strategic, intrusive thoughts. Everybody knows that Aisha Curry is very much living the 1% hypergamous life. She is married to one of the most successful and to the best shooter that the NBA has ever seen. She is an amazing support system to her husband and her children, and her grandkids will be provided for several generations. So the answer is no. The everyday working woman cannot relate to being married to a very successful man and his shadow. And no, they cannot relate to her rare air. Neither can they relate to wearing her super rare shoes, which I am sure for her can be incredibly isolating and at times can feel suffocating. And that is okay, she is human. But most onlooking women and men will just roll their eyes at her first world problems out of either envy or contempt or resentment for being completely out of touch in a world that is currently upside down. Or like with every other influencer, they will just navel gaze at her life from afar, wishing that they could be in her 1% hypergamous use. Now, the sourpuss men who aren't on Steph's level, of course, are going to pretzel twist and inflame her thoughts. They, of course, are going to go out of their way to misunderstand her, and they are going to make her thoughts seem catastrophic and world-ending, and otherwise blow them out of proportion to feed the insecure men who tune in to listen to them. And, of course, by proxy, they are going to use Aisha's oversharing to further punch down on women, whether single or married, because that is what insecure men who do not have a wife or a life will do. And very predictably, they are going to say that she is embarrassing her husband, but in the spirit of protecting her humanity, Aisha just wants people to know that in spite of her tremendous blessings, that she is indeed her own person, just like a very grown Michelle Obama asserts herself to be, and that is okay. And both of these women are not leaving their husbands anytime soon. But for the criticism and the scrutiny alone, Aisha needs to read the room, because the public eye will never be a safe space of vulnerability, especially for wealthy women. And quite honestly, these are the kinds of closed circuit conversations that you are supposed to have with the wives that are in your tax bracket. But trust me when I tell you, ladies, Aisha Curry is not losing the plot. And this girl is not walking away from her one-of-one life. She is just tired of being bored and isolated in her 1% castle. And possibly at the age of 36, she's been married for 14 years. They have, I believe, 4 kids together. So she might be having a mini midlife crisis. But if I were her feminine mentor, instead of micro damaging her name by associating it with cheap clickbait, I would tell her to read my book, Private Not a Secret. I would tell her to get a therapist who specializes in dealing with the wealthy who are often isolated, because everyone knows that in social climbing and in the game of hypergamy, the higher you go, the thinner the air. And like any rich wife, she needs to find a hobby, a passion project, or a cause that she's passionate about that would allow her to put her personality on display, like Meghan Markle did with her lifestyle cooking show on Netflix, Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy. The perception that her life is picture perfect when your wealth is public is not an easy one to shake, but it also isn't something that Aisha needs to apologize for. But the regular women who are fighting over the crumbs of struggle love and 50-50 dating are not going to feel sorry for her. They are just going to play the world's tiniest violin and secretly hope for her downfall for their entertainment. Now, speaking of downfall energy,
Aisha Curry is a perfect example of why it is so important to have a hoe phase. Go be a hoe. Be a hoe. But be a safe hoe though. Like, protect yourself and don't get pregnant. That's why she's sitting over there feeling trapped. Trapped with Steph Curry. Sometimes you gotta go through some stuff to really appreciate what you have. She probably ain't never been hoed. She probably ain't never been drugged through the mud by a dude. She probably never been. She probably never had a heartbroken time and time and time again. That's why she can't really appreciate what she has, because it's like, I need something edgy. I need something fun. Like this mom stuff. This being married to Steph Curry, this shit is boring. And now she's really rebelling. She want to be in the streets. She want to be desired by other men. She probably want to do something with another man, because she probably never experienced that. Like, when did they get together? Like high school or something? That is not enough time to be out in the world and do stuff and experience stuff. Like, you don't have to experience a whole lot. But I don't think she experienced anything at all. And now she's tied down, married with kids. You can't go do your thing right now unless you go do your thing and run the risk. Like, you ain't just no Lucinda from down the block. You're Aisha Curry. If you go mess with anybody, trust me, we gonna know about it.
Now, from my hypergamous point of view, this low-class, bottom-shelf advice ain't it, and you can go argue with your curtains, but this is a mush-mouth, cooked mindset and is a perfect example of how bad advice becomes mainstreamed in order for mentally weak women to ruin their personal lives. And this is the kind of advice that women will give to you when they want to get a feel-good cackle behind your back for helping you to sabotage and destroy your family, and calling you every shade of goofy behind your back in the process. Not having a hoe phase and being modest is exactly how Aisha Curry was able to marry her talented husband, and together they have created a beautiful family. Now, they married young, so of course there would be some bumps in the road, but instead some loud and wrong random chick is out here passing off bad checks as advice by suggesting that Aisha just simply needs the opportunity to juggle a variety of penises as a bored housewife, and that is very much yikes on a bike. but I will share 2 wonderful comments out of my private community, The New Feminine. A woman I know calls advice like this a detour friend. Taking their advice throws you off of your level up journey and will have you self-sabotaging yourself and your bag. I think most women spend a great deal of time trying to get back on track from the bad advice given to them by a frenemy or a fool. Good mentors are lifesavers. And the other comment, nobody needs a whole face. And in fact, it can do a lot more harm than good. Besides the obvious moral, spiritual, emotional, and potential physical implications, you can literally destroy your reputation and your future options with high quality suitors. It is just not worth it because it puts you in the just for fun and the not to be taken seriously category by men who have a lot to offer. The woman in this video is so clueless that she doesn't even realize that she's damaging her own image irreparably by saying what she just said and putting it on the internet. And to wrap this up with a bow, one thing's for sure, the people who have nothing to lose, and I talk about this in my book, Private Not a Secret, will always put a battery in your back for you to lose everything. And sometimes the women of the internet do not need enemies because they have each other. So that is all that I have to say on this for now. But to get this conversation started, is Aisha Curry embarrassing her husband by being authentically honest? Is Aisha and her first world problems being tone deaf? And is spreading it low and wide a solution for Mrs. Aisha to know how good she has it? And as always, I thank you for liking, for sharing, and for subscribing to our feminine community. And please stay tuned for more big brain videos to come. And I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.